Okay, we are going to I'm going to actually walk you through how to answer the questions when you have parallel lines cut by a transversal and you need to find the missing angle when we have variables or expressions for the angle measurements. So first thing we're going to do is draw a set of parallel lines cut by a transversal. And this means they're parallel. And then I'm going to come up with an example. 2x plus 15 is this angle measurement. And this angle measurement here is going to be 10x minus 1. Okay, so 2x plus 15, 10x minus 1. Those are the expressions for my angles. This is an angle. Okay, those are the two angles. Now, what's the relationship between these two angles? These two angles are alternate exterior because they're on the exterior of the parallel lines. This here is the interior, so they are exterior angles, and they're on alternate sides. So we know that that theorem means that they are alternate exterior angles. And that means that they're the same. So they're the same measurement. So alternate, so the first thing you're going to need to do on the quiz is say they're alternate exterior, and tell me that means that they are equal or they're congruent, okay? So when you set up the equation, you want this on one side and this on the other side of the equal sign. Okay, so first put your equal sign, and then in one bubble put one angle, and in the other bubble put the other angle. So let's start with the 2x plus 15, even though they're equal, so it doesn't matter which one you put here first. 2x plus 15, and then we have 10x minus 1. Now at this point we need to solve for x, but we have x's on both sides. We're not used to that. So what we're going to do is we need to find well, first of all, look to see if you can combine anything. No, because these are unlike terms. This is one type of term, this is another. This is a constant, and this is, how do we say, this is a coefficient with a variable. So this means some number times a variable, some number times a variable. Those are locked together. So what you're going to do is pick the smaller one. So 2x, or 2 apples, is less than 10 apples. So let's take and subtract the smaller one, and this will prevent us from getting a negative at the end, which is okay, but then you just have one extra step. So it's just easier to look at it first and decide which one's smaller. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the 2x on this side. So it's going to be negative 2x. Okay, that's one way to show it. And then I'm also going to subtract 2x on this side. So therefore, if we have 2x minus 2x, that's 0. And then this is 15. So therefore, this is 15. And then we're going to take 10x minus 2x, because we're really combining like terms. Or you could say plus negative 2x. So 10x plus negative 2x, or minus 2x, is going to be 8x. And then bring down the negative 1. Okay, that's one way you could do it. So we end up with 15 equals 8x minus 1. So 15 equals 8x minus 1. And now at this point, you want to say, let's see, how do I get rid of, at this point we want to make sure that x is all by itself. So now we can start pulling things away from the x. So we look to the side with the variable. Before we had variables on both sides, so we needed to get all the variables on one side. So then we could start pulling things away from it. So what's happening here? Well, the 1's being subtracted. So how do you get rid of the 1? Well, I'm going to go up and down this way. We add 1. And if I add 1 here, I need to add 1 here. So if you do something on one side to balance your equation, you have to do it on the other. We know that negative plus positive 1 ends up being 0. And bring down the 8x, because we are working on getting the x all by itself. 15 plus 1 is 16. So if I rewrite this, we get 16 equals 8x. At this point, we know to divide both sides by 8. And so 2 equals x. We're almost done. This would be 3. We solve it. Now we need to go back and figure out what those angle measurements were. So the way to do that is, well, one of the expressions, or one of the angle measures was 2x plus 15. So now we know what x is, so we take 2, plug in 2 for x, plus 15. So 2 times 2 is 4 plus 15 equals 19. So it's 19 degrees. Okay, let's take a look at the other one. 10x minus 1. Well, let's say 10. Now we know what x is. Multiply 10 times 2, because that's x, minus 1. Well, 10 times 2 is 20. Minus 1 equals 19. That's great, because we know that both of those angles are equal. So if we ended up getting something different for the two angles, then we'd know we made a mistake.